5 mistakes flippers make that will cost thousands. You know what separates successful house flippers from the people posting on Facebook, "Well, that didn't go as planned"? And these mistakes aren't the usual suspects. It's the costs, the ones nobody talks about. Because every rookie flipper walks into a project thinking, "I'm buying it for $150,000, putting in $40,000, selling it for $250,000. I'm about to make 60 grand. Then, 6 months later, they're eating ramen noodles while arguing with a plumber who's explaining why the pipe that's been leaking since the Reagan administration absolutely has to be replaced. Today we're talking about the 5 hidden costs that quietly murder house flipping profits. Because flipping isn't hard. Fighting against the math will be a brutal beatdown, and that is hard. Before we get started, if you're interested in real estate investing, economics, and exposing the nonsense that costs investors thousands of dollars, hit that like button. Subscribe to Milton's Ghost, because every week we're digging into the numbers the gurus conveniently forget to mention. Now let's ruin somebody's unrealistic spreadsheet. Holding costs. Everybody talks about buying low. Everybody talks about remodeling. Nobody wants to talk about the calendar. It is boring, it is invisible, but the calendar is undefeated, the undisputed champ. Let's say you plan to finish your flip in 3 months. That's adorable. Aww. Reality says the electrician gets behind, the cabinets arrive damaged, the city inspector goes on vacation, your flooring is backordered. Your painter disappears to another job and somehow never comes back. Now your 3-month project becomes 5 months. Then it takes another month to sell, then another month to close. Congratulations, you've owned this house longer than some celebrity marriages. Meanwhile, the house keeps sending you bills. Mortgage, insurance, taxes, utilities, internet for the security cameras, lawn care, snow removal, interest payments. The house wakes up every morning asking, "Got my money?" Whether you're making progress or binge-watching YouTube videos about how to tile a shower, the meter keeps running. Surprise repairs. Every flipper has heard these famous last words. It looks pretty good. Those words have financed entire plumbing companies. You pull up the carpet, rotten subfloor. You remove drywall, more mold than a cheese factory. Open a ceiling, ancient wiring that looks like Thomas Edison personally installed it. You thought you bought a house. Turns out you bought a museum exhibit. And here's the dangerous part. The surprises don't arrive one at a time. They travel in packs. Foundation crack, plumbing leak, termite damage, HVAC dies. Finally, roof starts leaking because apparently it heard you had money left. It's like the house was waiting for closing day before revealing its true personality. Professional investors don't panic. They expect this. That's why they build contingency money into every budget. Beginners spend the contingency buying fancy light fixtures.
Financing hard money lenders are wonderful. Until you read the paperwork. People hear only 10% interest, then discover origination fees, points, inspection fees, wire fees, appraisal fees, extension fees, attorney fees, closing costs. Basically, everybody in the transaction gets paid before you do. You know what's funny? The lender doesn't care whether your kitchen turns out beautiful. They don't care if Joanna Gaines herself installs your backsplash. Their money is due. On time. Every time. The bank doesn't accept payment in exposed brick and farmhouse sinks. Selling the house. Here's rookie math. Bought for $180,000. Spent $50,000. Sold for $280,000. I made 50 grand! No, you didn't. You forgot closing costs and the cost of selling, like professional pictures and cleaning, That last emergency trip to Home Depot where somehow you spent $487 on things you swear you didn't buy. Selling a house is expensive. On a $300,000 house, selling costs can easily eat $20,000 to $30,000. That's an entire bathroom remodel gone. Opportunity cost. This one separates investors from business owners. Imagine you made $25,000. Sounds fantastic, except it took 10 months. Now imagine another project only made $18,000, but finished in 2 months. You could complete 4 or 5 of those in the same amount of time. Suddenly, your smaller flip made a lot more money. People chase the biggest profit. Professionals chase the best return on their time and capital. Your money has a job. If it's sitting inside one slow project, it can't earn money somewhere else. Money is lazy unless you put it to work. The biggest hidden cost. Want to know the biggest expense nobody includes? Their own time, meeting contractors, driving across town, shopping for materials, waiting for inspectors, answering buyer questions, scheduling deliveries, picking up supplies because somebody forgot to order enough trim. Again, you become part investor, part therapist, part detective, part babysitter. If you made $20,000, but spent 600 hours getting there, that changes the conversation. Nothing wrong with making $40 an hour. Just don't pretend you made $20,000 by waving a magic wand. You earned it. Every frustrating minute of it. Finally, this is what almost every television show gets wrong. House flipping isn't about paint colors or granite countertops. And it's not finding the ugliest house on the block. It's about making a deal work financially. Every successful flip starts with one question. Does the math still work if things go wrong? Because they will. You'll have surprises. You'll have contractors who swear they'll be there first thing Monday. They won't. The investors who survive aren't the lucky ones. They're the ones who budget for reality instead of fantasy. The deal doesn't have to be perfect. The house doesn't have to be perfect. The contractor doesn't have to be perfect. The numbers have to work. If the numbers only work in the best case scenario, you don't have a deal. You have a gamble. And gambling isn't investing. That's just expensive optimism wearing a tool belt. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button because it helps more people avoid making these expensive mistakes. Subscribe to Milton's Ghost for practical real estate investing, economics, and honest conversations that cut through the hype. And tell me down in the comments, what's the biggest surprise expense you've ever run into on a renovation? Or if you're thinking about flipping your first house, which one of these hidden costs surprised you the most? Until next time, remember, real estate isn't won with a hammer. It's won with a calculator. I'll see you in the next one.